American farmers are in trouble. Big trouble. Across the heartland, a sense of unease hangs in the air as families who have worked the land for generations now face an uncertain future. Imagine dedicating your life to the land, pouring your sweat and hope into every harvest, only to be blindsided by a political storm you never saw coming. This is the reality for countless farmers across the U.S., caught in the crossfire of President Trump's trade tariffs, a crisis that has upended rural communities from coast to coast. These policies, meant to show economic strength and protect American interests, have backfired on the very people they were supposed to help, leaving many feeling abandoned. The idea was simple: punish countries like China with tariffs to force better trade deals and bring jobs back home. But trade is never one-sided. Every action has a reaction, and global markets are more connected than ever. China hit back, targeting U.S. agricultural products with tariffs of their own, striking at the heart of American farming. Suddenly, American crops like soybeans and pork became too expensive for Chinese buyers, and export markets dried up almost overnight. Farmers were left with fields of crops they couldn't sell at a profit, watching their hard work pile up with nowhere to go. Incomes plummeted, debts soared, and the stability farmers depend on vanished. Many faced the heartbreaking prospect of selling off land or equipment just to stay afloat. The ground beneath their feet is shaking, and they're left wondering if their farms can survive this man-made disaster, or if their way of life will disappear forever. The very policies meant to make America stronger are pushing its farmers to the brink, testing their resilience like never before. This isn't just about numbers. It's about real people facing impossible choices, families torn between hope and despair. Farmers are resilient, but this is a different kind of challenge. A policy decision made far away with devastating consequences at home and little control over their own fate. As the storm clouds of this trade war gathered, the promise of a better deal faded fast, leaving America's farmers to weather the fallout on their own. Many farmers are in a tough spot. Their lives are deeply rooted in the land, but the ground beneath them feels less certain than ever. They supported Trump, believing he'd fight for them, protect their way of life, and bring prosperity back to rural America. Bryant Kagi, a fourth-generation Missouri farmer, is one of them. His family has worked this land for generations, weathering storms both literal and political. He trusted Trump for better trade deals, but the tariffs hit his bottom line hard. The promise of profit was replaced by mounting bills and empty bins. Now, he faces a painful conflict: political loyalty versus economic survival. The values he's held for years are clashing with the harsh reality of his finances. Farmers want to support a president who speaks for them, but the reality of the trade war is impossible to ignore. Conversations at local diners and community halls are filled with worry. When crop prices drop day after day, faith is tested. Each dip in the market feels personal, a blow to both pride and pocketbook. Farmers are pragmatic. They deal in soil, seeds, and profits. They know that hope alone can't pay the bills or keep the farm running. When policy threatens their ability to provide, political allegiances are put to the test. Family discussions grow tense as uncertainty lingers. Kagai's story shows even staunch supporters are growing weary. The weight of worry is visible in every line on their faces. They want a clear plan, not to be used as bargaining chips. Farmers are demanding real solutions, not just promises. The constant uncertainty is exhausting. Every day brings new questions, but few answers. Farmers are being forced to choose between their political identity and keeping their farms alive. It's a decision no one wants to make, but many now face. Support for Trump remains, but it's now mixed with worry and hope that things will turn around. The future feels uncertain, but hope is hard to let go. They're caught in a political tug-of-war, with their futures hanging in the balance. For America's farmers, the stakes have never felt higher. The disaster's mechanics are brutally simple, yet the consequences are anything but. The U.S. slapped tariffs on China, aiming to protect domestic industries. China retaliated, targeting American agriculture in response. China was the largest buyer of U.S. soybeans, purchasing millions of tons each year and supporting countless American farms. With new tariffs in place, that crucial market vanished almost overnight, leaving exporters stunned. American soybeans became too expensive for Chinese importers, and buyers quickly turned to other countries for supply. Other countries like Mexico, Canada, and the EU also imposed retaliatory tariffs on U.S. farm products, further shrinking export opportunities. Decades of building international relationships and trust were undone in just a few months, erasing years of hard work. Farmers were left with surplus crops and nowhere to sell them. Commodity prices collapsed and storage facilities overflowed. With China out of the market, global supply outstripped demand and prices plummeted to record lows. For families living through it, this was nothing short of a catastrophe, threatening their livelihoods and futures. Imagine investing all year, your time, money, and hope, only to see your crop's value slashed by a political decision beyond your control. Meanwhile, competitors like Brazil and Argentina ramped up sales to China, filling the gap left by the U.S. They seized the opportunity, expanding operations, building new infrastructure, and locking in long-term contracts with Chinese buyers. U.S. farmers struggled with overflowing grain bins and unsold crops, while rivals abroad thrived and expanded their market share. The tariffs didn't just block American goods, they opened doors for competitors, shifting the balance of global trade. The result: a self-inflicted wound that left American farmers reeling, facing an uncertain and challenging future. The financial pressure on American farms was immediate and immense. Falling prices and lost export markets created a perfect storm. Most farmers operate on thin margins, borrowing each season and hoping to break even. When prices collapsed, the math no longer worked. Even before the trade wars, farmers faced low prices and rising costs. The tariffs were a knockout punch for an already struggling industry. Farm debt soared, bankruptcies climbed, and families lost land built over generations. The stress was overwhelming. Farmers worried about payroll, loans, and survival. Banks hesitated to lend, creating a vicious cycle: less income, less credit, less investment. The financial squeeze threatened to choke the life out of family farms. For many, selling the farm became a real devastating prospect. The trade war turned a strategic move into a personal crisis for America's farmers. The pain didn't stop at the farm gate. When farmers have less to spend, rural communities suffer. Equipment dealers, seed stores, and diners all feel the pinch. The entire agricultural supply chain weakens. Truck drivers, processors, exporters. Even proposed shipping fees add costs, hurting competitiveness. Consumers aren't immune. While some prices drop, tariffs on imports mean higher costs for many goods. Family budgets are squeezed, especially with inflation. The idea of a winnable trade war is a dangerous fantasy. Prolonged disputes risk slowing economic growth and tipping into recession. What starts as a targeted tariff can spiral into a crisis affecting everyone from farmers to factory workers. To soften the blow, the Trump administration rolled out massive aid packages for farmers. Billions in direct payments helped some families stay afloat. But for most, it was a temporary fix. Farmers want trade, not aid. They take pride in earning a living from the land, not government checks. The aid didn't cover all losses or restore lost markets. It was a band-aid on a bullet wound. Distribution was uneven. Big farms got more, small farms less, fueling division. And there was no guarantee the aid would last. Tying survival to Washington's whims is a recipe for instability. The bailout was a tacit admission the policy was failing. It kept some afloat, but did nothing for long-term stability. The real solution, restoring markets, remained out of reach. The tariff debate became another casualty of political polarization. Instead of practical solutions, it devolved into partisan bickering. Farmers like Bryant Kage were frustrated. Loyalty to party trumped real solutions. Criticism was seen as an attack on the president. Defense ignored the pain on the ground. Farmers wanted leaders to rise above the noise and focus on what works. They craved a bipartisan approach to trade, not wild swings with every election. The political conversation was disconnected from reality. Farmers weren't interested in culture wars. They wanted survival. Instead, they got more political theater and no real help. Farmers fear losing international markets for good. Building trade relationships takes years. Tariffs put all that at risk. When the US becomes unpredictable, buyers look elsewhere, and once they switch, it's hard to win them back. Minnesota farmer Bob Worth saw China turn to South America for soybeans. Brazil seized the chance, expanding production and becoming China's new supplier. Every new contract for Brazil was one lost for America. This shift could have devastating, long-term consequences. Once buyers reconfigure supply chains, they rarely return. US farmers could face permanently lower demand. The market share lost may be gone for good, a casualty of a failed gamble. Farmers worry not just about this year, but about their children's future on the farm. The aggressive use of tariffs risks trading away long-term stability for short-term politics. American farmers have a clear message. They need stability, not risky strategies. They want fair, open trade, not endless conflict and chaos. The lesson is clear: erratic trade policy breeds fear and uncertainty. Farmers are pleading for thoughtful, predictable global trade. They want policies that build markets, not tear them down. Agriculture is global. Success depends on selling to the world. They need leaders who open markets, not close them. This plea goes beyond politics. Farmers are tired of being pawns. The future of American farming depends on moving away from division and towards stability and cooperation. Their future, and a vital piece of the American economy, depends on it.